Pete Fahey. They're killers. They come at you, they're deadly. Pete Fahey. It was an early morning. The weather was dry but beautiful. Pete Fahey, 61, was at home eating his breakfast. He looked out the window. It was a sunny day. After finishing his breakfast, he decided to go to his Wanha Ohawahiti property. He had harvested vegetables and crops on his property and often went there to water them and check if the crops were growing well. Today, he wanted to finish some pending jobs like mowing and cleaning. Pete loved working in his field. It would help him stay busy and simultaneously feel relaxed. While walking towards his property, he was looking around. The trees and crops seemed fresh and green. Birds were chirping and flying in groups. Nature gave him a sense of tranquility, and he loved the scenes. He didn't see many people in the field. It seemed like he was the only one getting out of his house early today. After reaching, he started scrubbing and mowing. He worked for hours and finished most work. Pete began to feel hungry and wanted to go home, enjoy the meal, and relax. On the way back home, he stumbled over a nest of wasps. The sudden face-to-face encounter with wasps didn't worry him, as he felt they were not dangerous. He ignored them and started walking towards his home. But the wasps seemed furious. After walking for a few minutes, Pete began to feel soreness in his arms, neck, and different body parts. When he looked back, he couldn't believe his eyes. He was surrounded by wasps, constantly stinging him on his body. Unlike bees, wasps can use their stingers multiple times. Pete began to panic. He was continuously brushing the wasps off his body, but they kept attacking him. The house was still far away, and he was finding it hard to walk due to excruciating pain in his body. He was also finding it hard to breathe. The wasps followed him for the next 20 to 30 yards and kept stinging him. He was stung 10 times on the back of the neck, chest, and his hands. The pain was intense and constant. He kept scratching his body as if it felt like his entire body was throbbing. Pete could feel the burning in his body. He looked around the fields to call someone for help, but there was no one as far as he could see. He tried to hide his face because the wasps were now trying to attack his face. The excruciating pain prompted him to run for his life. The pain was so unbearable that it felt like he might lose consciousness. The wasp chase ended after 25 meters, but the after effects were harrowing. After returning home, he felt like his whole body was about to be paralyzed. He fell on his couch and felt difficulty moving his body. After an hour, his hands began to swell like a balloon. He quickly called his neighbor to help him out. His neighbor arrived and considered his situation very crucial. He promptly gave him antihistamine tablets and cream, which helped the pain reduce and relax him a bit. His neighbor kept checking on him and was worried because he was in bad shape. After 12 hours, the skin from his arms began to peel off, which increased his pain. Though he was getting medical treatment, it felt like nothing was working on him due to the severe wasp stings on his body. Pete was bedridden for the next 3 days. The agony he bore all this time reminded him how fatal the swarm attack could be. He considered himself lucky because even though there was no one to help him, he still managed to get out of there. After 3 days, Pete began to recover, and the first thing that came to his mind was to warn other farmers, especially children, to stay alert from the wasps. He wanted to warn authorities about the wasps. He quickly called Environment Bay of Plenty and Tararanga City Council and told them about the incident that almost took his life. But the response of local authorities was very disappointing. They told Pete that it was his responsibility to get rid of the wasps. He was angry and annoyed that they have employees who could help him get rid of the poisonous plants, stoats, and rats, but they refused to help him. Despite sharing his self-experience with the authorities, no one came for help. Pete decided to warn people who work in the fields all day long. He wants people to take precautions before even something horrible happens to them. Pete is not the only person who was attacked by the wasps. Some people have lost their lives, though experts believe it is rare for people to die from wasp stings. The odds of dying from a wasp attack are around 1 in 3 to 4 million. As rare as wasp attacks are reported, there sure seem to be a lot of fatal or near-fatal attacks during the summer season. It seems like a week cannot pass without someone in the world succumbing to a flying insect attack during the summer months. Another victim, Ratcliffe, was mowing his lawn when he was attacked by wasps. The victim barely survived his injuries. He sustained a total of 57 stings and was hospitalized. His wife found him unconscious, not breathing, and foaming at the mouth. She ran back home and came with an insect spray to shoo them away. Once the paramedics arrived at the scene, they found that Radcliffe had gone into anaphylactic shock, which prompted them to administer a shot of epinephrine. After Radcliffe regained consciousness in the hospital, doctors told him that he had sustained a total of 57 stings, 32 of which were to his face. Wasps can be as deadly to anyone who is attacked. The only best way to ensure the area is clean and doesn't contain any threat. That's a wrap for today. Don't forget to smash the thumbs up, share, and subscribe to the channel to see our latest content.